Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Naki. In today's demo, we are going to look at how we can set up a virtual machine on Azure, how we can deploy a virtual machine on Microsoft Azure. Everything you need to know, how we can connect to it after deployment using SSH, remote desktop, and Azure Bastion. Alright, let's go straight into the demo. You open your favorite browser, but I recommend using Microsoft Edge. This is a browser developed by Microsoft because Azure is for Microsoft and the Edge tool is for Microsoft. You'll get a smooth way of using this. Get a better performance. But when you try using other browsers like the Firefox, Brave, and Chrome, sometimes you get some slow deployment. Everything you want to do related to Microsoft, any practical, if you are going to use a browser, I recommend using the Microsoft Edge to do those practices. The site is portal.azure.com. Just go to portal.azure.com, click on it. Alright, this is the first interface or the welcome screen that you get from Azure. You type in your Outlook account or the account that you want to use with Azure. So I have already have different accounts. So let me go to sign in and choose one of my accounts. I'll choose the first one. So there is the Azure portal. There is the interface that we got, and you first sign in. If you haven't activated the free trial, this is not the interface that you are going to get. If you want to activate a free trial subscription with a $200 credit, you can go to this YouTube site and watch this video. youtube.com. This video will teach you how you can activate a free trial on Azure. So the channel name is UCOMPUTING. They have a video on this.
Guys, you're welcome to UCOMPUTING's YouTube channel. My name is Eugene, and in this video, we're gonna have a look at
how to activate a Microsoft Azure free subscription. So can you go and watch this video? You know how you can activate a subscription. So the first time you open the Azure or you sign in with your account, this is the interface that you are going to get, this one here. But we will not do this in this video, so can you go and watch this video? I'll leave the link to the channel in the description below. UCOMPUTING YouTube channel. Alright, so once you activate the free trial subscription, this is the interface that you are going to get. In this video, we said we are going to create virtual machines from the creation till we complete and we connect to it. Alright, if you want to create a virtual machine, we have 3 or more ways that you can create the virtual machine. First, you can search for virtual machine here. That's my favorite. Any resource or any service that you want in Azure, you can search for it straight, then you get it. You can see once I start typing the name of the service, I can see have virtual machines, virtual network, virtual ones, and others. But mine is virtual machine, so I can just click on virtual machines. Then just go to create my virtual machine. But as a beginner, this is the best way to go. We have this here. Microsoft called this Blade. We have the Azure Home Blade or something like that. So we can go to all services, then go to compute. Then we can see we have virtual machines here. So when I click on this, it will send us to the same interface as we search for the virtual machines. So this is the interface that we get. I have one virtual machine here, but I'm not going to touch that. I'll just go to create you are creating a virtual machine. If you want to create more than one virtual machine, for example, in a test environment or in a company where you want a virtual machine with the same configurations created at a go, we can use Azure Virtual Machine with preset configurations to create 2 or more virtual machines at a go with the same configurations. But we are going to create only one virtual machine. So we stick with the first one, Azure Virtual Machine. Click on it. These are the configurations that we are going to do. We have basic configurations, select desk, networking, management, monitoring, advanced tasks, review, and create. Alright, so let's start with the basics. The basics, let us input some basic information about our machine, the virtual machine name, the resource group, the subscription, and other things, the image that we want to install, and other information about our virtual machine. So let's start from the subscription. First, you select a subscription. So if you watch that video at the UCOMPUTING YouTube channel and you activate the free trial, here you are going to select Azure subscription 1. But I don't have the free trial subscription again, or I don't have a pay as you go subscription. So I will just select the Azure Pass sponsorship subscription. Then choose a resource group or create a new one. You can see I have a resource group here called Naki Demo, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to create a new resource group. You can create the resource group before you create the virtual machine, or during the process of creating the virtual machine, we can create a new resource group. So this is the approach that we are going to use. So click on create a resource group, give it a name. So let's say NAC-RG1. Okay, so this is our new resource group. What's a resource group? A resource group is a logical container used for managing the resources that we have on Azure. So if I can explain it, let's take it like a folder on our desktop. So we say we use folder to manage files and subfolders. Let's say I have this folder on my desktop. This is the folder. Let's say, let me call it KI. So inside the folder, I can add files and subfolders into this. So folders are used to organize files and subfolders in Windows. The same thing applies to resource group. A resource group is not a folder, but it works like a folder, a logical container that we use to organize our resources on Azure. So every resource that you create on Azure will need a resource group, whether it's about SQL, virtual machines, app service. Every resource that you create on Azure will be placed in a resource group. Alright, so keep it in mind, every resource on Azure needs a resource group. Different resources can all be placed in one resource group, but a resource can only have one resource group. Add a resource, then the name of our virtual machine. So let me call this test VM. Then the region where we want to place our virtual machine. We have different regions that we can select from, but I always go with the East US because it have better performance and speed. If you are in Africa, we have one called South Africa North also. Let me check if I'll get that one. Yeah, and we have South Africa North. It's the only Microsoft Azure region in Africa for now. So you can choose the South Africa North region. The closer the region to you, the better the performance and the speed. But I will stick with the East US. So yes, availability zones. This is very good in case of, let's say, disaster or any other downtime. So once we select availability zones, we can place our VM on different regions. So once the servers at East West goes down, we will still be able to access our virtual machine, but we will stay with no infrastructure redundancy now. Then with the security type, stay with standard. The image, we can choose from different images, operating system images on this earth. We have Windows 10 Pro, Windows Server 2016, Red Hat Linus, Windows Server 2022. You can check see all images to select other images. You can see there's the marketplace. We have Windows Server, Windows 10, Windows 11. We have all this. We have operating system with Visual Studio embedded with our MySQL Server 2022 on Windows Server 2022. We have all these operating system images that we can choose from. For the purpose of this demo, I will choose Windows Server 20. Let me stay with 2019 Data Center Gen 2. This one for containers. Okay. Windows Server 2019 Data Center Gen 2. With this, we leave it the default, the CPU speed. We have the CPU and the memory. So we can select from different one depending on the speed that we want. So we have 4 CPUs with 16 gig memory. The higher the CPU and the memory, the higher the cost. So you can see with the standard first one, we have 3.5 gig memory with one virtual CPU. The cost is $91.98 per month. We have this one with $137.24 per month. So I'll stay with my default. Then you select administrator username and password. So administrator, let me call it this Naki. Then add a password. The password should be 12 characters long. So it should be between from 12 characters up to 123. Or add confirm the password. Yeah, so it says we should add inbound rules. We can select none if you don't want any remote access into our virtual machine. It's just a demo, so let's leave it like that. We leave port 3389 open, then go to next. All right, let me talk about this licensing. So if you have an existing Windows server license that you use on-prem, Azure will Microsoft will make you able to add it here, or they will allow you to link it with your virtual machine that you want to create on the cloud. All right, we don't have any existing Windows server licenses. I'll just go to next. All right, here we choose our OS disk type, the hard disk that we want to use with our virtual machine. So by default, it says we are using premium SSD. This is the fastest one. We already know SSD is faster than the traditional HDD. So here it says best for production and performance. With this demo, let me stick with standard SSD. But you can choose HDD if you are not going to use the VM frequently. So I will delete the VM after this demo. So let me use it standard SSD so that I will be able to go through it quickly. The rest, leave it default. Yeah, then here we attach a new disk. Why? By default, if we leave it empty like this and we finish creating the virtual machine, you get a local disk C and a local disk D. The C is the one containing the operating system, and the D will store temporal files. But if you want to get another disk that we can use to store our data, like pictures, videos, and anything, without storing it on our local disk C, we need to attach a new disk that will do that job. So when we leave this space, or we didn't attach a new disk, we will not get any maybe drive GM or any drive that we can store our files on. We only get the local disk C that contains the OS and a temporary disk D. So let me attach a new disk to this virtual machine. The name, stick with the default. Source type, blob storage. Let me use empty disk. So by default giving us 1 GB. Alright, just demo, share this. Alright, let's leave it everything like default. So just go to OK. So host caching is read only. Let's choose read write. Then go to next, networking. If you already have a virtual network on our this virtual network on our Azure, you choose that network from the list that will show up here. So you can see I already have a virtual network called Naki Demo, but I'm not going to use that one. So I will stick with the default one or the new one that Azure is creating for me by default. And the subnet too, I will stick with the default one, normal class A, private IP address, public IP address too. It is creating a new one for us, or we can choose, if you already have a static public IP address that you use, we can add it here. So we stick with the new one. The rest, select inbound port for remove desktop. Okay, 334, leave the rest default. Management, stick with the default configuration. Monitoring, default. Here too, we stay with the default configuration. Here we can add tags. The tags will help us call the virtual machine without even knowing the name of the resource. So you see, as we can use the name and value pair that will enable us to categorize our resources and view consolidated variants by applying the same tags to multiple resource and resource groups. Alright, so for example, if you have different branches of our company or any other deployment that we want to do, we can assign the same tags to companies or departments. So if you want to check the billings, we check it by using the tag. So let's say IT department, we use the tag for IT department. Then we see that this is their cost for the month. Cleaning department, this is their cost using the tags. So the tag is very, very necessary when you are deploying this on enterprise environment or production environment. We stick with empty values, will not assign any tags. Then we click on review and create. The review and create, this is the work of it. It shows you the configuration that you have done, and if there is some error somewhere in the basics configuration or this configuration networking, it will prompt you to go and make that changes, and also show you the configuration. So you go through, when you see everything is done, you can see it says validation passed. It's like a review of all your configuration that you have done. Check everything. If everything is normal, everything is good for you, to check if the configurations are good for you, they are the requirements that you want. They are the configurations that you want to specify. You just go through, check if everything is good, then you click on create. If you notice, it gives us some estimate cost of how much we will pay per hour. It says initializing deployment. So wait for a while whilst this resource is being created. If the cost is too high, you go back, you make some changes to it. For example, you use HDD to get a low cost, use lower CPUs and memory and others to reduce your cost. Once deployment is succeeded, click on go to resource, either from the notification or from the main page. So you click on go to resource. Alright, so this is our virtual machine, and you can see our resource group name is showing up here, status, it is running, location, and other informations. Alright, so now our machine is now up and running in the cloud. This machine has now been created on the East US Microsoft Data Center and running. So you need to connect to it and start using this virtual machine. How? Then comes the ways that we can use to access this virtual machine. So as I said before, we have 3 ways that we can connect to this virtual machine using RDP, remote desktop, SSH, and Azure Bastion. Alright, so let's go into that. We are going to take them one by one. We first deal with the remote desktop, then we deal with Azure Bastion, then the last one will be SSH. Now, we want to connect to our virtual machine. What will we do? First, we can see we have connect here, and we click on it. Provide us with the 3 ways that we can connect to the virtual machine. Then we also have the connect, same here. We have RDP, SSH, and the Azure Bastion. So these are the 3 ways that we can use. So from the overview, you can see we have public IP address here. So this is the address that we are going to use to do the remote desktop. Alright, so once we know our public IP address, we take note of it, then we go to connect. But before you connect, make sure the machine is up and running. So if it has been stopped here, you will not be able to connect to it. You can see the start has been faded. It means the machine is up and running. So we can stop it or restart the machine. So we know the machine is running, so we can just go straight to connect. Click on RDP, remote desktop protocol. Check if the security rules allow inbound access. Remember, we choose it to allow ports 33894 remote desktop. So yeah, so it says everything is fine. Checking from this portal message, so you can just download the RDP file. Yeah, with this we can just go to our Windows, search for remote desktop, this, click on it, then type our public IP address here. But let's take it as a beginner. Maybe we are a beginner, we don't know anything about remote desktop. So the Azure portal or Microsoft provide us with a downloadable file that we can use for the remote desktop. So if we are doing this for a client, you can just download the file, send it to the client, then you provide username and password for the client. So this is just for beginners level or for beginner level. Just download the file, then you start using it. It's very easy to do. So I'll just click on download RDP file, then I will open the file. Let me go to my downloads. The name of the RDP file is the name of my VM.rdp. So I'll just double click on that. Yeah, it gives me this connection message. It says can't be identified. Yeah, because it's not a certified connection or anything. So I'll just click on connect. It says connecting. So the file will automatically open remote desktop for you. very easy. So at first it will try using your local account for the connection, but we don't want to use the local account credentials. So I'll just go to more choice, use different accounts. Then I'll provide my administrator name, Naki, then provide my password and click on OK. Yeah, says we haven't added certificate. This is just a test environment, so you don't have to add a certificate to our computer. But on production environments, you need to register the certificate. That will be a tutorial in another video. So I'll just click on yes. I want to connect to this despite there is certificate error. Boom. How? Look at how fast this is. Ooh, this is very cool. This is very cool. Within just some seconds, our server is up and running. This is very cool. Alright, so there's our virtual machine that we created on Azure. You can see how normal behavior of Windows Server. First installation, anytime you open this, you turn on the server, you get the server manager open by default, but this can be stopped. Just click on manage, go to server manager properties, then do not start server manager automatically at logon. Yeah, so anytime you start your Windows server, the server manager will not start again, or will not be open when you power on your server. So we can just do our configuration, go to server manager from here. We can add roles and features, do everything, files and storage, anything that we can use our on-prem server to do, we can use this virtual machine to do. This provide best and fast computing. Let me check the internet speed of this virtual machine. Let me download Microsoft Edge. Let's see how fast to be able to download the Edge. Remember, this is not using our own normal ISP internet. This one is using Microsoft data center internet. So let's check the speed of it. So let me download Microsoft Edge. Let me go to speed test and see if speedtest.net. You can see the speed is around 300-400 Mbps. So download is 413 Mbps. Upload will show up here. Wait for a while. Upload is 676 Mbps. Wow. Let's check with our local ISP and let's compare the difference. Speed test on our local ISP. Let's check. Look at this. Look at the gap between my local ISP and the cloud computing. Wow. 6 megabytes per second compared to 430 megabytes per second. Look at this. How can you fail with cloud computing? Download 430 Mbps compared to my local ISP 6 megabytes per second, and the upload on Microsoft's internet is 676 Mbps. Then my upload on my local ISP is 1.4 megabytes per second. How can you fail? How can't you fail on my local server, and how can you fail on the cloud computing? So we can see cloud computing is way much better than our local ISP's internet speed. Alright, let's try downloading something from Microsoft and see how much time it will take. Let me visit Microsoft Download Center. Software download. Choose Windows 8. I'll download the 64 bits of Windows 8.1 to check the speed that this virtual machine is going to use to download. You can see 700 megabytes downloading 4 gig. A 4 gig ISO file downloaded just in seconds. So less than a minute, you have been able to download a 4 gig Windows 8.1 ISO file. How cool is this? Alright, so I was just trying to show you the speed of virtual machines in Azure. So this is how you can connect your virtual machine using remote desktop. So once we finish everything that we are doing, we can turn off this, or we can exit the remote desktop, or we can click stop here. Once we click stop here, the remote desktop will stop or will not run anymore. So let's see what happens if we click on the stop. Yeah, that stop. So right now we cannot remove desktop into it again. So if I open my downloads and try remoting to it, let's see what will happen. Yeah, it says remote desktop can't connect to the remote computer for one of these reasons. So either the remote computer is turned off, it's not available on the network, or remote access to the server is not enabled. Yeah, because we have stopped it, we will not be able to access it via remote desktop. The current status is stopped deallocated. Once you see stop deallocated, it means you will not be charged anymore. So anytime you stop your virtual machine, make sure you check if it has been deallocated. If it's days on, Microsoft will continue billing you on that, even though you have turned it off, but it's still running on their server. So always make sure that if you are leaving a virtual machine idle or are not going to use it for the day, click on stop. You check the status if it has been deallocated. Alright, so that's it for remote desktop. Let's go straight to Azure Bastion. So to do that, or to use Azure Bastion to connect to our VM, we need to make sure that we have start our virtual machine. So we click on start, wait for the machine to start. The machine is now up and running, so the status says it is running. So we can now go to here, connect, then we click on Azure Bastion, click on Bastion. So this is the first time we are connecting using Azure Bastion. We don't have Azure Bastion configured already. So Azure will guide us create a new Azure Bastion configuration or service. So you can see we have new ones using this name, then our resource group, that's NAC RG1, then the virtual network of our VM, then the public IP address of our virtual machine. So we stick with the default ones. We like the automatic, or we can configure it manually. I will stick with the default one. So deploy Bastion. Wait for it to add the subnet to our virtual network. Alright, so it seems the Azure Bastion has finished. And provide administrator, username, authentication type, password, enter my password. It says the Azure Bastion protects your virtual machines by providing lightweight browser-based connectivity without the need to expose them through public IP address. So with Azure Bastion, the VM will be connected using the web browser. You don't need to use remote desktop software or any other external software to just open this in a browser. So it says open in a new browser, or we can untick to open straight from here, but you have to open it in a new browser. So just click on connect. Connect. Boom, we are in. So you can see this one is a browser base as compared to the RDP one. With the RDP, we download an RDP file, it opens remote desktop, then we connect. But this one is Azure Virtual Machine inside your browser. How cool is that? So there's Windows Server 2019. Let me check if the download file is still there. We have Windows 8.1 still here. Have temporary storage. See. So this the OS this and this is used to store temporary files like collect guest logs, these things, everything. I think we add external disks, or let me check this. Files and storage. Let's check this. I think it's offline, that's why it's not showing. Or it's online. 1 TB. Why is it not showing? Let me right click. Okay, we need to create a new volume. Everything, blah blah blah. And have to show up here. 1 TB this that we attach is now in. How cool is this? Yeah, so we can store our files here, pictures, videos, any document that we want to store. We can store it on this local disk E. This is the disk that we attach. Alright, so this is it for Azure Bastion. Azure Bastion is very, very cool because it's a lightweight. We use the browser, we don't need any complex configuration and other things. So Azure Bastion is very, very, very cool. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube